like to call to order this, May 14, 2018 regular monthly meeting of the Village of Trumansburg Board of Trustees. All board members are present. We have a couple of changes to the agenda, one being that all of the time entries on the right-hand margin are now incorrect. We're also adding after MRB Group, Kelsey Fiore from Nexam has a presentation for us. Does anyone else have any changes or additions or deletions that we need to make on what is a legal size paper agenda? All right.
Which will recap it on binders.
Yes, indeed. Item number 3 on the agenda is approval of minutes. And since my Dropbox isn't syncing with everyone else's is, we should have minutes from the 9th, the 13th, and the 23rd.
You do?
So I think the 13th is not real. The 23rd.
Of course it's, what do you mean not real?
Well, the minutes are the same as the 23rd and 13th. Or at least when I look at it.
They may, you mean the dates. Those were both, I believe, executive session meetings.
When I looked, I believe they were both the sewer rates. But I can't actually open anything right now.
Yeah, I'm having the same problem.
So we all
Well, this is just going bad from bad to worse.
There's a new.
They're not on the new one.
Yeah.
We'll have to fix that.
I can't get anything over here.
I don't have an issue. For once.
They're not the same. They weren't when I put them in there.
It's totally, I mean, just opened the wrong thing.
No, I can't do anything.
The other edit I had was on the sewer rates meeting. I got me down as voting to adjourn. And I was not.
Which one then?
The sewer rates meeting, I think that was the 23rd.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one now. I'm sorry, you're absolute. No, I don't have one here.
You had me adjourning on the 23rd. Or no, I got the 13th, sorry.
No
Oh,
voting.
wait a minute.
No, I don't mean to.
Okay, I have the 13th open. And it's April 23rd. No.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, we'll make that.
Good. The other one is on the 9th, it says 9/43. I think you should just say 43rd. Just throw that out there. I mean, it's either way.
You don't want ownership of that, do you, Ben? All right. Is everything else good?
This is the one that, one of them wasn't there.
Oh, yeah, I can see them. But I can't. I can open one. I can go get your hard copies if you like. Here you go. Oh, there's 9.
Maybe 6 of us.
I got the 9. I got the 9 for the 20th.
Oh, there we go. The 23rd.
I don't have the 13th. I have the 13th, but it is the 23rd. No.
Sorry, I need to go do this stuff.
Are we going to table the minutes so we get a hard copy? Just print
Yes.
the 4.
Yes.
Can you please get?
He's in the back here.
So we're going to go to item number 4 on the agenda, MRB Group and not McKenna.
No, that's not tonight.
It's all yours.
Okay. I'm Bill Davis from MRB. Nice to meet you. Keith.
No question, issue.
That is the way it's been, so. I was hunting the show. A couple items of business. Let's see if I can get this handy. So, first thing that I have, we bid a portable generator is one of the last things for the water project. We got 2 bidders. Cummins Sales Service and Turnkey Control. Both had very good bid numbers compared to what we estimated. And low bidder is Cummins Sales Service, $75,000. A bid tab and and a bid summary letter was provided to the village. And so we would recommend that you guys award to Cummins, and I have the notice of awards here. Probably would ask for it if you do sign these tonight, and I can bring it back. The lead time on the generator is quite a bit, and we want to get that going so that we get the generator in, and then we do the rehab on the old well once that is in place.
What does that mean as far as the maintenance after we purchase? Is any of that included in this base cost?
Maintenance, no, not maintenance of the generator.
Right.
There is a
So-
warranty, and the award is contingent on, us reviewing the shop drawing and that sort of thing, so,
Dusty,
yes.
we have we already have a contract for our other generators, correct? And
For maintenance, yes.
right, will we have any issue adding the other generator to that?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't see that being a problem.
so we want to make sure that whoever we awarded it immediately gets onto the maintenance.
And any questions on that? Okay. Next, we are starting to close out the contracts for both the wastewater and the water project. Next packet here is HVAC closeout for the wastewater treatment plant project. There's 3 substantial completion forms Gordon I needed to sign. And then there should be 3 change orders here, which on that contract, we're basically change ordering the allowance monies that we did not use in the project back as a credit to us. So for the HVAC contractor, it's $10,000, it'll come back to us. You can either sign those tonight or you can sign them and send them back to us. All the information in that packet you can give to Tammy, except for the papers that you sign, they gotta come back to us, all 6 pages, so.
Okay.
Okay. And the next contract that we're trying to close is the plumbing contract for the well and water system. Same thing here, we're changing ordering back to the village, $8,695 in allowance money remaining. And then there's a substantial completion form here for you to sign. Get back to us. And I gave, this packet was for Tina, this is the GC contract for the well and water system, and they're all closed out, so that's just for your records. I think that's all that we have for business tonight. We'll have the rest of the closeout, hopefully the rest of the contractors will be able to close out by the next board meeting, so we'll be moving to close with EFC pretty soon on both projects, so we should be pretty much on track. There'll be a few things that we won't pay for just yet, like the generator. So you'll have money sitting there, even though you go to long term, you still have money sitting there to pay for those things once they come. So,
Okay, do you know what the lead time on the generator is?
Matt did tell me the other day, and I want to say it was like a few months.
Okay, so I just want to tell Mary what,
Yeah, well, Mary asked in the email form today
oh,
for
okay.
the final amounts for everything. We'll
Okay,
send and make sure that we are all matching up.
okay,
And then, once we do, she'll have everything she needs for EFC to close, so.
okay.
All right.
Can we have a brief discussion about public?
You can if,
Meeting?
I don't know if you want to go to executive session.
That's probably for later for us.
Okay, all right, executive session then. Sorry, we got to stay.
I don't know if you stay all the way here.
We have approved the floor to take them.
Because I'm waiting on the guys that put it on the streets and where.
Uh,
You guys still on it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
sent him, he should have everything he needs right now, if he needs anything.
I don't think it's
more.
back yet.
Yeah.
No.
And they're returning to
Yep, okay.
So I'm off the hook.
Thank you. For the moment. Are there any questions for Bill before we get to these contracts? All right, then the first contract that I would entertain a motion to sign is the change order to receive back $8,695 from the electrical contractor for the well water system.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I want it to be noted we actually brought money back.
So Mike, I hope so.
Signature too,
I know.
closing on another house. The second contract that we have to approve is on the wastewater treatment plant side, another change order to receive back.
10,000.
Looks like 10,000 even from the HVAC contract.
So moved.
Second motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Okay.
And the third one is the notice of award for the generator, awarding the $75,000 contract to Common Sales and Service.
I move that we award the generator contract to Common Sales and Service for $75,000.
Motion, we have a second. That's a second, any discussion?
Just a note that that's 25 under what we were planning.
Good. No further discussion, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Make sure I didn't miss one there, no.
Stamp.
I always think that the stamps are fairly dangerous things to have around.
All right, very good. Thank you, Warren.
Digital signatures.
Anything else for Bill or anything else MRB related?
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Will do.
All right, then we will now go to Kelsey from NextEd for her presentation on community solar.
Well, thank you, Mayor Hart and trustees, for a moment of your time. I've been told I have 5 minutes, so I will do my best to shorten my 10-minute presentation. I guess we'll do that. So my name is Kelsey Fiore. I work for NextAmp. We are a solar company. We are not a supply company. We're a solar developer, and we're building a project in Newfields that can benefit all of Tompkins County and actually 9 counties surrounding the farm. So I'm here to tell you a bit about our project and our program, and ultimately hoping that the trustees will take a vote on whether to allow us to host an information session in town. And that would really be not an endorsement of our subscription program, but helping us get the word out to your community. This is really a project that's meant to benefit the communities in the surrounding area. So ultimately hoping that you will take a vote to determine whether we can host an information session in town. So very briefly, NextAmp is definitely a newer face in New York. We are a Boston-based company, but I am going to be living in Ithaca starting June 1st. I'm currently living in Saratoga Springs, and we're hiring locally. We are a decade-old company founded by 2 Iraq War vets. We have 22 of these community solar farms in Massachusetts, and because of basically solar-friendly legislation that's passed in recent years in New York, we're able to expand our program and bring it to New York. We were also recently ranked among the top 3 commercial-scale solar developers in the nation. So whereas we're definitely a newer face in the area, we have this really great national reputation, and that's really based on the work that we've done in the Northeast, because that's where all of our projects are. And I'm you can tell, I'm kind of going through what I often give as a PowerPoint presentation. If it's helpful, feel free to follow along. Community solar is definitely a newer concept in this area, so I'm not sure, just for those of you who aren't familiar with it, essentially the benefits of community solar are very similar to if you had solar on your rooftop. Except for with our program, it's a subscription program. You're not making an investment. You're subscribing to a share of our farm. Renovus has another program that's a purchase program. It's just a different model. There you're making an upfront investment and saving more money over time. Ours is essentially a 10% discount off of your supply and delivery costs off of your NICEAG bill every month. And essentially the way this works is we build a project. In this case, it's a 7.5 megawatt, 30-acre project on Millard Hill Road in Newfield. Once that project goes live, which we expect to be this summer, it starts generating electricity that feeds onto NICEAG's grid. We give NICEAG a list of everyone who's subscribed to our farm, and we can subscribe about 750 to 1,000 people in the area. And they apply net metering credits, essentially offsetting all of your supply and delivery costs on every bill each month. You then get an invoice from Nexamp for 90% of the value of those net metering credits. So you're saving 10% every month. So that's essentially how community solar works. We're not feeding energy to your house. We're not a supplier. If you have a supply company, you keep your supply company, you're essentially just getting a 10% discount on your bill every month. I'm going to skip that slide because in the interest of time. This is just briefly an image of our service area. It's, again, 9 counties. Obviously, we can't sign up everyone from those 9 counties. It's a 7.5 megawatt array. We can sign up, as I said, between 750 to 1,000 people. And we're currently enrolling people. I'm currently presenting before boards across the 9 counties, driving all over the place. So if you're interested in our program, we will eventually fill up, and we hope to do that before the project goes live. So if you're interested, I encourage you to take a look at it. We call our program Solarize My Bill. As I said, it's 10% off on your supply and delivery costs each month. The only 2 things we can't offset, the costs we can't offset, are your basic service charge, which I think is the first line item on your bill each month. And that's for maintenance of the grid. Everyone has to pay it. And your tax. We can't offset your tax. But everything expressed as a kilowatt hour, we can offset through a share of our farm. It's guaranteed 10% discount for up to the 20-year lifespan of the project. So we guarantee you this 10% discount, and you'll see this in our agreement if you review it, for the lifetime of the project for all 20 years, but we don't expect that same commitment from people who subscribe to our farm. So we have the most flexible, equitable community shared solar program in the entire Northeast. And that is because we don't do a credit check. If anyone at any point in time wants to leave our program, there's no fee. There's no fee to sign up. So this is really kind of a no-brainer opportunity for communities in the area. There's obviously no installation on your property. You're not putting panels on your roof that you need to worry about ownership of. And you can change your allocation at any 3-month period. So if you start using a lot more electricity and your share of the farm isn't offsetting all of those costs, then we can give you a larger share of the farm at any 3-month interval. And one of the reasons why we're able to offer such a flexible program, you are becoming our customers even though we aren't becoming your provider. So that's part of it. But also we do everything in-house. So we're not hiring out for things. And it also means that you are working with the same group of people, fairly small community solar team at Nexamp, including myself and there are 5 others that we are growing in the area. But you're working with the same group of people from tonight to if you were to have a bill assessment done, which is really the next step, to if you enrolled to 5 years down the road if you still are with the program. And essentially, I'm almost done, essentially the way you would participate if you're interested is first you get a bill assessment done so that you can determine your average annual usage. On your NICEAG bill, I think on the 3rd page, there's a bar graph that shows the past 13 months of your electricity usage. We take a look at that and we determine what share of the farm you're going to need to make sure we're offsetting all of your costs for the entire year. We then send back a proposal to you. If you review it and you sign it. And again, it kind of lays out in legal terms everything that I've just said, that there's no long-term agreement, it's a 10% discount, there's no cancellation fee, it's super flexible. If you sign it, then you will have reserved your share of the farm, and then nothing happens until the project goes live, and we'll send you an email, or if you don't do email, we'll send you a letter and say, we're about to go live, and you're about to start seeing net metering credits applied to your bill. I don't know if I have time to go over the invoice. Okay. So I include an image, and I'm sorry everyone else scared, you can't really see this, but I like to include an image of what your NICEAG bill will look like once our project starts going live if you've signed up with us. Essentially, all of your costs are canceled out other than your basic service charge and the tax. So this individual is paying $17.48 to NICEAG that month. That does not mean that in total you're paying $18. But you'll see down at the bottom, there's a CDG generation credit. That's the net metering credits I refer to, and it's exactly that. They're crediting you for the energy that we're putting onto their grid, and then we send you an invoice for 90% of that amount. So it's very transparent in that you'll never have to wonder what your next stamp invoice is going to be every month. You know that it's going to be 90% of that number. So you are receiving 2 invoices. NICEAG hasn't created integrated billing yet, but you're always getting a 10% discount. It's honestly, it's a great program. Also, if you do go online, and never assume that people do, but if you do and you do your billing online, we have a customer portal, and you can see, you can kind of quantify your impact from the farm. So the gallons of gasoline offset through your participation, the barrels of oil offset through the panels that you're supporting. So that is it. Again, we're asking that the trustees vote or deliberate, different municipalities have different processes, and determine whether we can host an information session in town. And that's really something we want to collaborate with the village on to make sure that it's successful and people come out to it, because no one knows us. So if it's just us saying, come to this information session, it's not likely we're going to get a great turnout. And the second, so that's my primary ask. Secondary ask would be that this is something that the village can also sign up for. We've had a few municipalities sign up a number of their accounts that are eligible. So we'd like to do an assessment of your bills and provide a proposal for you to review. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
How far is this project in Newfield? Have you purchased the land? Has the zoning been approved? Have we started to build?
We've started construction a couple of weeks ago, yep. And I know that we're hiring between like 50 and 75 people locally for construction of the project.
My only thought is that we should talk to Terry and see how this overlaps with the clean energy communities process and see how that works. And then maybe we can get back to you.
Cornell Cooperative Extension? Yeah, we've collaborated with them in the past. So this is kind of on its own trajectory. I don't know if this counts towards one of the 10 measures that a town can take, but it certainly doesn't interfere with it.
Right. Well, so one of our tasks is to sign up people in our community. And if we sign up people for this competing program, so I think we should just check and make sure that those two things align rather than.
I think NICEAG was one of the presenter at the State of the Village meeting, talking about renewals in NICEAG.
I think you're right, but
Yeah, we were basically through an RFP process, we were vetted and chosen as like the 2 companies that up until December, I think we did a number of presentations with Cornell Cooperative Extension. So they kind of just show the 2 different models. They chose our company and Renovus.
Yeah, I think we should double check on that, and then if we do a community event, we should probably do one where Cornell Cooperative Extension comes and talks about it, and then we have someone from Renovus speak, as well as someone from NICEAG.
Has Renovus presented before?
we had cooperative extension came and gave sort of a general overview.
Right. preparing a proposal you could review and, you know, make determinations as to whether it's
Possibly.
good for you.
Possibly, I think we'll need to discuss it, and then whatever we decide to do, we'll act on by our June meeting or at our June meeting.
Okay.
And we'll let you know.
Should I be in touch? Who should I be in touch with? Okay. All right, Leslie. Thank you, and thank you, Tammy, for helping set this up. And thank you all for your time. I know you have a busy schedule, so I appreciate it.
Sorry.
That's it.
Take care.
All right, so you do it in minutes.
Yeah, I have minutes, but I think I must have overwritten the 13. The only thing that makes sense because they were there. So I will redo them to you tomorrow. Here's our copies of 4/9 and 4/23. Don't you
I actually have one. For one of these,
Yeah, there's a reason.
You need to-
Who needs hard copies?
I read the ones that were there.
yeah, okay.
Sorry about that. You too tomorrow.
All right, then going back to item number 3, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes from April 9th and April 23rd.
Second. Just a friendly amendment, there were those 2 edits.
What was the other one that? I know there was,
My village clerk is on one of them, and then one of them, the 23rd, you have me down as voting to.
yep, got that one. Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion and a second?
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Now we have a second.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, item number 5 on the agenda is reports from department heads. I see a deputy department head.
Correct.
Fire away, sir.
Good evening, Matt Taylor, Deputy Fire Chief. Jason is working tonight, so I'm going to do the fire report. Calls to the village for fire and rescue 7, town 7, culvert Zippo, Hector 1, mutual aid for 4 for 19, EMS, Ryan's side, 13, the village, 27 to the town, 8 to the culvert, 2 to Hector, 7 to Interlaken area, 7 to Neck, and 9 on mutual aid, which could be somewhere way up. In-service training hours, 107. Fire rescue hours, 157.26. EMS service hours, 201.77. Total in-service hours, 466.03 for total calls of 92. And that's the first month of our fiscal year, so it's 92 for the year. So that's all I've got.
Excellent. Any questions for, it's taking a while to get used to saying Deputy Chief Taylor? Right. If not, then we have Brian Snyder for EMS.
Good evening. So for the month of April, we had 76 calls and 51 transports. And for those of you who are not used to me giving reports, you will notice that the numbers between fire and EMS differ a bit in how we track calls. Our calls are generated in every patient care report written, so sometimes in a month, the difference between Jason's or Matt's report to ours might be 2 or 3, and that would be because that's per run, and ours are per patient. So we saw 76 calls, 51 transports for the month. We received mutual aid 3 times in the month, and we gave mutual aid 5 times during the month. Revenue should be in your drop boxes that was put out last week. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up was we had a demo come from Osage last month. We were very hopeful that we were going to be overwhelmed, and we were significantly underwhelmed. So that has gone away. The bid process, we have the bid almost put together. I just received a 40-page change in the specs for the chassis from General Motors. So the one part of the spec that was completely done is now not done. I'm rewriting that for the chassis. So hopefully we're ready to go out to bid maybe by the 1st of June to replace the ambulance. Other than that, I think there's going to be a few things coming up on Ben's part of it, but that is all I have.
Any questions from Ryan? Okay. Chief Ferretti's been excused. And we have Justin.
spring mode, cleaning up parks and mowing downtown. We did have 2 late water breaks that we helped Ulysses out with, one on Indian Fort Road and one on Colbert Road at the very beginning of April. We did a water tap down the Frontenac Road for a new house down there, and we've been doing a bunch of cleanup on the water break holes from the winter. And we did some patching on some broken stormwater pipes, one out on King Street, and we started one on Academy that seemed to have just weathered away. We had a couple issues with some chlorination down at the park, nothing serious, just some fluctuation that was handled. And we had the new water meter system installed this month, and everything ran fairly smoothly. We had a couple small hiccups, but I had everything sorted out in time for bills to go up. Hopefully by the next reading we'll have that all cleared away.
Progress on 99?
Everything is been situated with private homeowners. We have to get in touch with Alls about having their system taken care of, and all of our stuff, our inflow covers for manholes just came in. They should be installed this week, and hopefully we'll see some better numbers.
And behind the Tompkins County Trust,
That's taken care of. Yep.
the catch basin?
Yep, that was raised up and it was in a dish, so we put a manhole riser on it, sealed around it, and raised it up. So hopefully that should take care of any low water that was there.
Okay. Bill already left. Do you have any idea when they're going to continue their wet work?
I think it's kind of waiting now to see what the inflow covers do on whether or not maybe we take another rainy weather test to see if it affected anything. So we need to get it installed and then I guess wait for another heavy rainfall at night. Also, the sidewalk project seems to be going along smoothly now. We had some minor hiccups, but everything seems to be going along. I got word today that they no longer need to take the trees out in front of 50 South Street, so that, which we thought might be an issue, is no longer necessary. Great,
Okay, good. Any other questions for Dusty? All right. Next up, we have Sandy.
So let's see. I've been to regular county municipal historian meetings, which happen once a month. They had one, they actually had two. One I was not able to attend this last weekend, but they had one on doing research, which uncovered some very interesting things. And I've also been uncovering some other ones on my own. Among them are ones called, at the library, I don't know if you know that you can get to the historical newspapers. Some go back to 1820. They go to 1939. And the search engine is okay. You have to kind of push it a little bit because they did a lot of the scanning of the newspapers. Whoever did it, I think it wasn't like done here at the library, but whoever did it used optical character recognition, which means that letters turn into other letters. And sometimes you can barely tell what the results are giving you, but if you push it, you can find amazing stuff. Through the Tompkins County Library, you can get to free census records and other records to search nationwide. A lot of that has been tied up with Ancestry.com, which you have to pay for. They'll give you a free trial, but through the local history and genealogy at the public library, you can get into that, to another site. And there's also another one called Family Search that's also free, that's kind of linked to Ancestry somehow, but you can do it for free, as it should be since they're public records, compiled by the government. There's a way to get into the Tompkins County cemeteries for every town. I think it's tompkinscounty.org, but if you want to know what it is, or if you know anybody who wants to, you can get in touch. Like for Grove Cemetery, they have, in theory, everyone listed up to 2009, and there's a map of the cemetery, and sometimes it seems like there might be a couple of little things that aren't exactly right, but it's very helpful generally. The Tompkins County Clerk's Office was the ones who came this last weekend that I sadly missed, but I know that through them you can get to deeds going back, way back. And Maureen Reynolds, who's the Tompkins County Clerk, has been very instrumental in making all that stuff available. And then there's another pay one that's called newspapers.com. And that's pretty useful too, because it's nationwide, but you do have to pay. And I'll just come back around to all that stuff because I've been using it a lot and I'm kind of excited about it. Other things that I've done, I did a little brochure plotting with Vicki, and we're going to get a new run of brochures, and that's even with not quite tapping the grant, so we're saving the grant towards yet another. A little adjustment with that, and that's at the printer. I don't know exactly when it'll come back, but I will lean on him. I worked again on layout design and arranging production for the Ulysses Historical Society newsletter, which I work on with the town historian John Wardis, and we have a great working relationship. That's fun to do. So the thing that I spent most of my time on was working on the 5 essays that I agreed to do for the notable women of Tompkins County. The research really takes a lot of time. Going through the census records and trying to change people's names so that you get to the right person, and then once I found that I had really gotten the wrong person, but I found out in time and changed that. So I've got 4 of the 5 essays done and turned in. 3 of the women are T-Bird related, and 2 are not, but 4 of the essays are done. And then just this last week, I went to a presentation on Trumansburg history by Ed Brown, who's done this before, with slides from the Historical Society, and that was great, and it was very well attended. And he's done it before, I think, but he changes it, so. In line with true history. That's all I have.
Great. Any questions or comments from Sandy?
Thank you.
No, we don't have our zoning officer or a code officer here, so treasurer's report.
The first thing I would ask the board and the mayor to sign is the agreements for Guy Crow to represent us for our long-term funding through EFC for the wastewater treatment plant and the well water. They were in the Dropbox for you to review.
So this is just a notification for the change of attorney, correct? For the closeout of our projects. Doing that, you will do all the close it out, yeah, the all the understood.
Do the paperwork and the closing information. He was expecting these not to exceed $3,000 for each.
Right, and we provided that to Mary so that it will be part of the project.
Right. If the board signs these tonight, I have to send them to Mary tomorrow, and she's going to send them on to EFC.
Excellent.
So then I would entertain a motion to approve me signing these professional services agreements with Guy Crowe of Taylor & Taylor to execute EFC closings for both the water project and the wastewater treatment plant project financing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions.
Just going to work on getting ready for the end of the year. I had to redo our AUD with Dwayne because of journal entries that he didn't provide to us a year ago, which is all done. Just hoping that I don't, family stuff.
Any questions for Vicki? All right, next up is my village clerk. You did that yourself.
We kind of did. All right, so we're getting ready for village tax season. So in your Dropbox folder, you'll find an unpaid water and sewer list that is the re-levy for any balances for inside village residents for more than $250, which is about equal to 1.5 quarters usage. These, because they're unpaid, I send them to the county and they're put on these individuals' property taxes so that they're paid in full and the county makes us whole. So what I would ask for is a resolution approving this re-levy up to $37,456.43, knowing that tomorrow at 4 o'clock is the deadline for payment. I expect that we will get some payments knocked off this list, so the number will be lower than, so I just ask that the resolution be up to this amount.
I move to allow a levy of up to $37,456.43 as designated in the spreadsheet.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, there is one on here that says new owner.
Yep.
I do not think that we should be
And
relevying.
actually, they came and paid it today, and I got the name of the owner, so we're good.
Excellent.
Yep.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, then all in favor of re-levying overdue water bills to our 2018 village taxes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Thank you. Just busy. Unless anybody has specific questions about specific projects, I think that was pretty much the end of my report.
Under the mayor's report, the only couple of items, I'm going to do it in reverse order. I did write a letter of support to Trumansburg Community Recreation on behalf of the board. Everyone has seen it, but I did want to enter it into the record. Essentially saying that the village greatly appreciates the work that TCR is doing, and we endorse their efforts to find funding, particularly non-municipal funding, for all the projects that they've decided to put on their plate. So this will be available on the website if anyone is interested in seeing it, either tomorrow or Wednesday. And the other item is, as of last Monday, we have posted a vacancy for for the zoning officer. Matt Johnston has resigned to pursue a full-time employment opportunity elsewhere. What I think we should discuss as a board is what we would want to do, if anything, about the planner position. In talking with Matt as kind of part of I won't call it an exit interview, but as part of our discussion when he was leaving, he wasn't sure how necessary the planner position is for our day-to-day operations as a village. He thought that the town is currently looking for planner, that if they find someone that we could perhaps lean on in the future when we have those specific needs, that might be a better use of our resources. The zoning officer, of course, we're required to have because we have zoning, so we need to fill that position. The job was posted last week. I don't know if we've had any applicants yet.
I received 2 applications through Facebook, actually, and when I responded to both of those ladies and asked if they had applied through the county, I never got a response back. I looked at the list just before I came down, and there wasn't anybody there, but it's only been for literally a business day, so.
Right, so if anyone sees this video and is interested in the zoning officer position, you do need to apply through Tompkins County Civil Service. There isn't any way around that. The great state of New York requires it, but you can certainly let us know if there's interest. As for the planning position, I'm leaning in the direction of not doing anything about it at this point until the town, which has not been able to fill their position, finds out what they're going to do, just so that we can see if there are synergies to be had there.
I'm afraid it would be difficult to fill regardless. Yeah. 3 or 4 at least open positions in the county right now, so.
A planner position?
No, other than filled.
Which is why there are vacancies.
Pardon?
I said, which is why there's a vacancy across the street.
Or Darlington?
Yeah.
As far as the breakdown of zoning officer versus planning responsibilities, what hat is Matt wearing in helping the planning board? Because I know that he's been doing a great service for them through the process of moving towards Success Street.
I would say, and I think when we discussed it, we didn't get into percentages, but I would say it was mostly the zoning officer. You know, the planner position is much kind of broader and more theoretical. It was very helpful. He did, which we'll get to later, he did help with the drafting of the RFP for professional services on the zoning committee side, or zoning revision committee side. But in terms of assisting the planning board with the language and what does the zoning say, not that the planning board interprets zoning, but that piece of it, it was mostly the zoning officer had it, that he was wearing. Again, the planner, now Ulysses is, the town is looking for specifically an environmental planner, so that's a little bit more specific. We had never had a planner at the village level before that. And so I guess it's more of a, it's almost more of a philosophical question. You know, when it comes to village-involved planning within a small footprint, there has to be some usefulness. I'm just not sure how urgent it is.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we have the right support for the planning board when they're seeing these larger projects come through, and there's likely to be more in the future around that. So that's, I talked with Rick Geyer a bit about that, and just wanted to feel like there's good support there, and support for the revision committee and their work as well, to have someone to pair with regularly to go through that process.
That would be my bigger concern after we get a comp plan, that whole process. Yeah, be well served by the planner.
Well, yeah, I guess
we have we're hiring, a whole group of planners, so.
right, but I think there's still value in having like a point person here, that someone that can kind of facilitate those conversations. But again, I'm not really quite sure if that's could still fall under a zoning officer's umbrella potentially, or whether that becomes much more of a planner position.
So this was kind of a hot topic at the April 26th TCOG meeting. I think there's a lot of municipalities in the county that are very interested in maybe looking for shared opportunities with planners, because they sound like they're all in a bit of a similar issue. Either they have one or they haven't had one, but they anticipate development coming and they don't have one, they want one. So there's a lot of talk about, county level, they're stretched pretty thin, but it sounds like there might be an opportunity to try to maybe everyone chip in and put a position, another position at the county level that can help to smaller municipalities. So that definitely will be an ongoing discussion at some point. Now, how long that takes, it sounds like we're not the only ones struggling with it. Sure.
So for the time being, then we'll just leave it that we're looking for a zoning officer. We are discussing what to do about a planner. We are hoping that the county wants to help us do something about a planner at some point. To be continued.
I can speak to that now if you'd like.
Please do.
So we had 3 positions open, they're all filled. One was an environmental planner to help with businesses, commercial places like that, bigger places to help them navigate all the environmental, trying to make their businesses greener, and to try to navigate all the different systems and funding. And as you know, if you've had people here, it's kind of confusing. So we have then, Darby kind of took a position as a planner, so she took just a regular planner. And then we have another new planner that's just dealing with housing and basically trying to look at more affordable housing. And so one of the things that we've been talking with the planning department is about making sure, because that was something that I've heard people talk about for a couple of years, different municipalities, is that you want more help. So that should free some people up to, and we haven't figured out who that's going to be able to go around and help the municipalities. Although I was thinking that possibly something shared, even if it's an environmental planner, most environmental planners will know other types of planning. So I think still it doesn't hurt to have somebody that's just thinking of your interest, because if they're working for the county, they are going to be thinking more broad, and that might not be, in your best interest all the time. So if you wanted to see if you could share part-time with somebody with the town, that might be better serving you guys, even if it's 20% or 25%, and then you can get help from the county when you need it.
And I did have a conversation with Liz about that last week. And we left it that she was interested in helping, and we were interested in looking for help.
Great.
And they're interested in finding a planner. So we'll have to let that kind of develop once they can find someone. Okay. Item number 6 on the agenda is our first public comment period. I see that because the weather is fantastic outside, we actually don't have anyone from the public here. If anyone who is not from the public has anything that they would like to say, this would be a good time.
I have some stuff for you.
Just as a public?
As a public.
Okay.
So last year around this time, I came and asked as far as our Fingerless Pulse, which is an LGBTQ group, about raising the gay pride flag. And so we gave you guys a flag, so we're wondering if you want to do like a proclamation. June is LGBTQ Pride Month, and so different municipalities proclaimed that as that month, and then put up a flag. And last year, you put the flag up. I can't remember if you proclaimed anything.
I think we just hung the flag.
If there was any objection last year flying the flag, I don't believe we did anything other than that. So unless there's any specific objections from the board, then I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that again.
Without any kind of official proclamation.
I mean, we didn't do one last year. I don't know if it's necessary or unnecessary or otherwise, but I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
It means a lot to a lot of people. And I heard a lot of good feedback about having the flag here.
Can you bring me a new one? I think our other one got pretty ratty, because we left it up for a while.
Okay, the flag. And do you want me to send you a copy of a proclamation that you can consider for next month? I know it'll be June, but that we need, but it was
or your official.
So we have to go on
You're
record.
up. All right, so then hearing no other public comment, we'll move on to item number 7, reports from representatives, of which we have 2 in the audience. John or Ann, I don't know which one of you would like to represent first.
I'll talk first, if that's all right to do that. Sure. My first comment is that a keyboard attached to your phone?
Bluetooth, right.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you. I'm going to look for that soon.
And that's all I was going to talk about
The town, we're working on the feasibility issues of the new water district of Route 89. There's a lot of desire to tap into water and municipal water, and there are many problems and there are many advantages. So that's what we're dealing with right now on the feasibility of it. Working on drafting a town resolution on the Romulus considering. I think you guys are too, are you not? And you know, I don't think, I know we didn't do it last time, I wish we had, because there's a big presentation going on in Albany about it tomorrow. And if you can get your resolution done, I think it would be great if you could get it into the hands of, for instance, Joseph Campbell, who is with the Water Keepers and Seneca Lake Group. I can give you that information, but it sounds, we are all downstream from that incinerator, and you know, we know that. I think it's a very good project to sort of put a hold on. We're cheering on the mediation of zoning issues. We've had some major zoning issues of late with development districts, the concept of development district. And 20 years later, the development district is still there, but the neighborhood has changed. So we're dealing with that, but we had a lot of tension in the room on several of our public hearings, both from the planning board and town board. And amazingly, people are coming together and working it out, which is fabulous. And that's always a wonderful sign in these times. We're finalizing the union contract positions that we're going to present to the union. As you may or may not know, there's a unionization of our highway department. And speaking only for myself, being a member of 3 unions, I'm all for it. Although I'm on the other side of things, dealing as a municipal representative, there's a lot of foreign issues, and it's a big change, and we're all hoping for the best. We are soon bereft of Darby, and I think I agree with you, Rory. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That I think we should be able to work out something, and that's the general feeling of the town board with shared planner. And that zoning officer is, somehow a new combination of those roles is, I think, in the offing. So I hope we are able to share something like that. But basically, my major comment is about the keyboard on Ann's cell phone, because that's stunning, and I won't run. Thank you.
I have to give up your math, John.
Believe me, yeah.
Light of the budget, for the board.
Maybe it could be a campaign expense.
Any questions for John? All right, Ann, you're up.
Sure, first I'd like to talk about the keyboard a little more. This is actually almost an antique. They haven't made it in years.
Oh, stop it.
I had this from when I had a PDA. If anybody remembers those.
Yeah.
And still Bluetooth is the technology that they use for it. Let's see, county roads. So I got a tour from our county highway superintendent, and so don't ask me about too many specific projects. It was kind of overwhelming. 4.5 hours, we went all around, and we really got a nice
website, or you can look on the county highway website if you want to see like which roads are going to be done around the area. One of the things, this is just slightly outside the village, but South Street Extension, I don't know if you know about the work that's going to be done there, because, or if you've walked over there, it's, so to see how much of the side of that hill and by the road is being wiped out from that creek is amazing. It's really just, I don't know how many yards of dirt are just like falling into that creek. And then if you look across, that farmer, whoever has the farm over there, I mean, they're losing part of their farm, it's just falling into the creek. So that's going to be a big project. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but that will affect here because there are going to be a lot of big equipment and it's going to be a challenge to get in there. Raise the age. Have we talked about that before? About like for 16 and 17-year-olds, we're trying to get them not to be in the jail anymore. It's actually a state mandate. They're coming up. It's coming up fast. It's October that they want us to first start with the 16-year-olds to never be in the county jail. In this area or this county, it's about 0 to 1 person that we have in that age group. So we're not going to be able to afford, and it just doesn't really make sense to have a separate facility here. So we're going to look around and so we're researching that now. We're going to hire somebody to help coordinate with the other counties to figure out where it makes sense to have one facility and then those kids will go there. But of course the main thing is we're trying not to have those kids actually in jail at all. And we're doing a good job because there's 0 to 1. The detox center, has anybody talked to you about that before? So we're trying to put in a new detox center, mostly to do with the heroin epidemic. And we're looking at needing 40 beds for the county, which is way more than I thought. But so we're looking at a 40-bed facility. They're looking at a couple of places. One place is at the hospital, on the hospital grounds. And they actually have some extra land. But as soon as I'm hearing more, especially if it's anywhere near this area, I will keep you guys updated. Especially if it's going to be in this side of the county. And you probably read a lot about the airport and DOT. Do you need me to tell you more about that, or heard enough of that? Okay. TC3 is going to get a new child care facility. It's a $5 million child care facility. So that's going to be great for people to be able to go there, because we especially want to encourage the people that it's really hard to go to college. So they're going to build a brand new facility there for child care. And that's about it. Any questions?
Questions for Ann?
I would like to know why the DPW insists on starting their projects before graduation weekend, and always on those main roads, here, every single time.
It's obviously more fun that way.
I mean, up the IC, up the canal, on State Street, every year, and it's always a week and a half to 2 weeks before graduation. Let all the parents come and leave, and then start.
Come ride with me, I'll show you how to get through it.
I know how it is.
Any other questions I can answer?
Can I ask a question, even though I'm on the wrong side of the table?
Always.
There is a pothole. 96 is a state road.
Correct.
There's a pothole that's going to cause, right where it is. Why can that not get fixed? Why?
Well, the DOT.
You'll actually need to be more specific, because there's more than one I'm thinking of.
Right.
Well, it's going down from downtown Trumansburg towards, right before you get to the high school area on the driving south, before, anyway, it's
Right in front of
Right by your house.
I hit it every time, and it's huge, and the fact, sorry.
Go ahead, I'll let you know when you're done.
No,
It's I called last week on the one at the intersection of 227 and 96
yeah,
to have them fill that. You have to be very specific, because I asked them to fill that one, and there are 2 more smaller ones, 20 feet this way, and they couldn't be bothered to fill all of them because I only specifically asked for the very large one. up
So you
there.
can ask the state.
No, I called
Yeah.
the Tompkins County DOT, and they sent someone up Monday. I called Friday, and they sent someone up Monday.
Wow.
I made a point of saying it's really bad, could you please come and fix it, and they did. I mean, I'm not opposed to calling them if anyone
Well, I'll get the address.
doesn't want to, but I got the impression that if you just call and specify, but again, if you want more than one filled, apparently you have to be more specific than just asking for one filled.
Maybe we could mark them.
Well, there's one in front of my house, John, that you should hear the 4:45 a.m. wagons truck hit it.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, I think if you call the DOT, they might do something.
But yeah,
Wait for Bruce Produce.
yeah, so you can call the county, if it's a county road, and if it's a
Yeah, I
Trumansburg road, you can call the DOT. The county highway department is pretty good at those.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Sometimes take it and then figure out where to call.
Yeah.
There's so many shared services.
Right.
So you might think, oh, it's a village or it's a town road,
Right.
but that's not, they might have an agreement that somebody else is doing it, so.
Yeah, I called, I looked up on the New York State DOT website, called for Tompkins County, and they sent out someone from Tom Ithaca, I want to say, to come up here. I don't know for sure. She patched me through to somebody who was closer to wherever we are located, and then they sent someone up. I don't know who it was. I saw the same truck here, like I said, 2 days later. So they were relatively quick on getting on it once someone called.
Yeah, for that, or if there's a tree down the road or something like that, just go ahead and
Such
call.
a CrossFit.
Yeah.
Dan, is this childcare facility at TC3, is that going to be free for students, or will there also be a fee?
I don't know, but I would imagine there's going to be a fee.
It's a fee-based service today.
So it's going to be exclusive to them, but they have to still.
Well, and as the students, staff, and it might be big enough that other people can bring their kids in even if they're not, working or, so the students and staff will have first priority.
Anything else for Ed?
I was just curious if you wanted to offer some more insight. Am I correct that tomorrow is the vote on the injection site resolution?
I'm trying to think how we left that.
I was seeing rumblings of that online or something, important local kind of. Could impact us.
So
I know it's at the state level, but it's.
So there's a state bill about requesting home rule for injection sites. And basically where that came out of is New York City wants to put in safe injection site. It's called SIF, Safe Injection Facilities. My time's up though. So they wanted to put one in, but there's a state law, or there's, I don't know what the problem is, but so this is what this law is, to allow municipalities to do it. And so that's the gist of what our resolution was to be, to help that get passed, although talking to a lot of people, they're skeptical of whether it's going to pass. But so.
At the state level.
At the state level. Now, on county level, that's, a lot of us have been talking back and forth before the meeting tomorrow on a lot of legislators. So it might be taken off the agenda because we wanted to rework our resolution and make it clear, because it's not clear in there that that's why we're supporting it. A lot of people have been asking questions and saying, oh, is this because Tompkins County wants to get an injection facility? And it's not saying that we don't. Maybe want to have one later, so I don't want to mislead you like, no, we don't, but because there's a lot of people that feel strongly that maybe we should have one here. But it's to support home rule so that New York City can have one. Let's see how that goes, and then let them kind of get the kinks out. So it might not be on the agenda tomorrow, it might be in 2 weeks. But if you have any comments or feelings about it, you can tell me now, and I'll pass it along, or you can send an email or come and speak.
I'm sure it'll be an interesting public privilege of the
the agenda, which is reports from trustees, starting with Mr. Garth.
So not a lot for me for fire. I've been talking with Jason about their end of the year just closed out. I was going to look at any funds they have left over to maybe replacing the pickup truck and the chief's Tahoe. But he said he'd get me more information on that for next month. So that's something he's thinking about. And then obviously the question of the fire hall expansion addition is continuing to be a question. I don't really know where to go with that, so that's something I'll take on this month, is to try and figure out more of a direction on that, I guess. I know we had it on the agenda last month, so maybe I'll go back to you and see where your head's at on that, and kind of keep trying to push that forward a little bit somehow.
Okay. Yeah, as far as both fire and EMS facilities, I'm on the mind that, well, there's two ways we can go. One is we can look for funding first, but most funding wants to see what you have in mind. You know, if we found, wherever we found the funding, whether it was grant or otherwise, it's unlikely that it would get approved without a concrete plan. So, you know, we had one version of a facility renovation. I think we need to have maybe a full RFP for engineering services rather than just letting it kind of in a haphazard way develop. So it's a complicated area. So we could have a combined facility renovation plan, just a fire facility renovation plan, a fire facility and an EMS facility new building plan, or some combination of the three. And I haven't really set in my head which one is going to get us a new facility before 2038. So yeah, I'm open to suggestions as to how to best take that next step in terms of the planning. I have ideas as to the funding side, but the planning, the actual facility side, if we are going to split up the fire and EMS departments, then it makes sense to get an RFP put together for renovation of the fire department for fire, which won't happen until we have funding, and won't happen until we have the EMS split up, which won't happen until we have funding. So there's still going to be several steps there. Which one we prioritize? I'm open to suggestions.
My suggestion would be we do it quickly, whichever we decide, because funding takes a good 2 years to get. And it disappears as fast as it shows up. And, you know, I think going after our state reps to do it is a great idea, as long as they're not.
Have the agencies offered their opinion?
Those specific agencies?
Yeah.
Yes, they've offered opinions. I'm more conscious of the budget side.
Right.
Than maybe, not that they aren't budget conscious, but when you're asked for a wish list,
Right.
you give a wish list. I'm more interested in the needs list.
And there is need, let's not understate that. And there's a need quicker than we're going to get funding, probably.
So I think what we should do is that you and I should sit down with the chief and the deputy chief. We should start calling it next chief. Chief and the next chief. For the immediate needs, and then the less immediate needs, I think the ones that are employee. And go from there. EMS and youth, Ben.
The first thing, just kind of get out of the way, on there is the standby contract. This is something that we started a long time ago. I got another version from Ryan a little less than a week ago, and it needs more editing than I had anticipated. So that will unfortunately be delayed yet again. We can talk a little bit more about that in executive session, but that one, if you would review what is in there, that would be great. This is actually what was originally
So I did review.
written in October of last year.
I did review the original one. That's the one that Brad reviewed.
Right.
he said he didn't have any issue with it, other than that he didn't like it from the customer side. He didn't see a problem with it from the village side.
Well, except that we get sued. So if we're at a call, or if we leave an event to take a call, then we're potentially over liability.
It wasn't how I took it. So I talked to him again a couple days ago, and my takeaway was that as worded, we wouldn't be in any liability from that particular contract. His concern was that if we changed the verbiage of it to guarantee that we would be there, and then we weren't, then we would have a problem. But the wording of this contract says that we'll be there if available. If someone wants to sign that, then he would advise probably the client to reconsider signing it.
Right.
But he didn't see an issue from the village's side.
Because his comments were based on this,
On this version. Yeah, on this version. Yeah, on this version.
they're the same. And the new version is the same as that one.
Okay.
That's interesting. I mean, so I reviewed his comments, and I do see what you mean, that there wouldn't be a problem unless we actually leave. But again, my customer would sign that contract. That puts us in a position of saying, oh, well, we won't leave, and then potentially violating a verbal contract. I don't know how that works.
The contract says we can leave, so if the client signs it and we leave, then
Right, I understand, but presumably, I mean, this only works if we don't play. Right? I mean, if they have to stop the football game or stop the 5K in the middle of the 5K or stop the triathlon because we have to leave and they are required to have us there, those aren't really tenable.
true, but at the same time, we are not necessarily in a position to guarantee the placement. We're not in a position to guarantee the attendance, so that means we won't be signing anything.
I mean, you could. Right, we have 2 ambulances.
Yeah, we don't have staff.
I mean, today we don't. We could, based on volunteering, but we may. It's certainly, I mean, I'm not opposed to signing or to establishing a contract that's fairly basic like this, that is just kind of a catch-all. To me, it makes sense to be a little more thorough. But I'm not, I mean, there is certainly an urgency to this, right? This summer, we've already missed the opportunity to be paid for at least one event. So we would like to go with the urgency and just maybe have it more every day.
I mean, at this point, we don't have the ability to sign these contracts. So if we want to have contracts in place that gives the village the out,
Right.
and
Well, that's what I'm
if
saying.
someone wants to sign it, then I don't know if there's a reason not to, unless it's a, on principle that we don't want to sign something that we can't for sure and certain provide, and then I'm okay with that too. But I think the board needs to be clear whether we're signing these this summer or not.
Right, well, I guess what I mean is that if urgency is a concern, and I do think it is, then we could approve the use of this contract while we continue to revise it, change it at some point. I mean, I don't think there's going to be so much use that people will get confused whether or not there's a new contract. I don't think that's what it is. So if we wanted to approve this one, and then move forward with editing, but I don't know. In fact, I would suggest that.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in?
So, I mean, the contract does not exist, we cannot take jobs.
Well, so we've been doing, we just don't have a contract in place. So like, for instance, we do, the ambulance service does a standby at football games.
Right.
And that's just something that we've always done. It's frequently staffed by volunteers. We don't charge for it. We also do standbys at various other places, just kind of as requested. And there's no fee-for-service relationship established or legal relationship, other than they're part of our
So basically, the decision is, do we want to get paid for those standby services? Or not? If we want to get paid for them, then we are stating in the contract that we will only be able to provide the service if we have appropriate staffing.
Which means they'll have to shop for it because they still can't do what they're doing without having the coverage. And they expect it.
I imagine this is still relatively cheap with the bank, so I don't.
Oh, without a doubt.
So is it bad PR to ask for money? Is it a problem?
Well, we obviously, I think, should have the ability to not accept them if we need to. Right, I mean, this is, so one of the many edits that I made that are not in here was the option of, applying for a sort of charity case or a, forgiveness of funds, that kind of thing. So that, like, for instance, the school, I don't necessarily think we should be charging the school.
Why not?
Because it's the school, and because it's staffed by volunteers, and it's BLS, and
I already pay school taxes. I don't have children in the school.
right. So
And
pick an example that you would like to
It's
provide.
all, and it is for after-school activities. It's not, I mean, if you wanted to
So
be.
certainly this is a debate that we could have on a case-by-case basis, but I think we can assume that the possibility exists that there would be such a charity that we enjoyed so much and wanted to support that we would provide an ambulance for free. So I wanted to build that possibility in this contract. There's another number of other things I did that aren't necessary, and as Ernie says, the ultimate question is, do we get paid or not? And I can sort of deal with the editing down the road. So I'd suggest that we.
So we have fundamentally different approaches to things. It's not that I want to say, we're not going to do it. It's like when I say, who's paying for it when the DPW has to do all of these things? And I'm already paying for it in my taxes, and I'm paying for it in those towns, I'm paying it in school, and I'm paying it in whatever fees I incur when I have to use the fire, the EMT service or whatever.
Yeah.
So now I'm paying for it 3 times. I don't like that.
Not necessarily. If it's ambulance staffed by the fire company, what you're paying for is equivalent.
Right.
But that's not really an issue here. I think we should use this contract, which does not involve any possibility of, fee forgiveness.
So would you like to move it?
Sure, I move that we, actually, I'm not really sure how, I move that we accept this contract. Because this will be signed by Brian.
Can I?
Right, it's a simple contract between the service user and the EMS manager.
His number
It's
is
actually not a
Yeah, I got it, I got it.
It's a
Yeah, okay, I got
service
it.
user agreement.
Essentially, this includes a fee.
Yes. So I'm not sure how many, how do you suggest that? I mean, it's
Just to approve the use of the EMS standby agreement by the EMS department for dedicated standby coverage when available.
So I move that we accept the,
Contract, et cetera.
yes, as presented with the caveat that this is, okay, I move that we accept this contract as written and authorize Brian to sign it moving forward.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
This is the one that I'm in place currently.
There is
another in place.
Oh, okay.
We have a motion in search of a second. I will second. Any so further discussion?
Friendly amendment that Brian has an updated version in which number 6 stipulates 30 days instead of 7, I believe. I don't know, we just talked about it very briefly. What's that, Karen?
I think there's very different segments of that contract I just got done trying to figure this out this afternoon. It's not just the 7 to 10.
So all that 6 is saying is that if we get the request 7 days within, we can use. However, it's redundant. Right.
Where are we doing this? All right, in that case, no trouble.
Because of number 3, subject to availability.
So just to be clear, what are the reasons not to do this?
There are.
From the village's standpoint, the reason not to do it would be if we wanted to have in place the ability to agree to standby services without the availability clause. Basically saying, we're going to be there, you've signed this, you're going to pay us X, and we will be there no matter what. From that would be the village's reason. So as to not sign something saying we'll provide coverage when a situation could arise when we had to back out last minute.
We're already in that situation.
Yes.
This is just formalizing what already happened.
We're already in that situation, but we're not charging for those services currently.
I'm trying to skim this quickly, I haven't actually looked in depth enough, but if we sign this and are not able because there is a call, is it the fee returned or
There is no charge if we can't cover it.
which is still full covered?
Right.
So,
Is there no charge if we leave? We're halfway through it, we've been there an hour and a half.
These are also issues that Brad brought up that aren't explicitly covered in here. I imagine it would be assumed that we would cover it. Or that we would give it back.
Because it's an hourly charge with a minimum 2 hour. So if you're there for 3, you'll bill for 3. If you were supposed to be there for 6, but you were there for 3, you bill for 3.
But if you have an event that's required to have an ambulance there, we have to leave, then what do you do?
And then anyone who signs this as a client would want to make sure they have a backup.
So it's not a whole.
we're already in there, like that is the status quo, that
Yeah.
people ask us to come, we come, or we might not feel it actually. We come, we can't.
And it's fine for them at this point because they're paying for 1 and not paying for the second. Now they would be paying for 2. But depending on the type of event, we need to anyway. If it's an event that's large enough for us to cover where they could potentially have multiple transports, then we would probably need more than 2. But at the end of the day, that's
Event planner.
there's an event planner and client issue.
Yes, that's what
Do you agree to this?
Well, in the health department, I imagine at a certain point.
On the client and everybody.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
And we took out the friendly amendment?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
So the other thing, I'll try and make this quicker, as I was reviewing billing rates, and I was trying to come up with what changes we would want to make to our billing rates in order to hit that $5,000 mark. That was our goal. That was how this get started. In the end, what I ended up doing was, if we changed our rates to the average rates that are on that survey that Brian did, which you've not seen, that you could expect about 10,000 in revenue. It's close to a 40% increase. And that's about what we would see. So we don't actually see a 40% increase in revenue because most of the bills are capped, so Medicaid, Medicare, we don't actually recoup, maybe about 50% of what we bill. So my primary concern was how much do people pay themselves? So if we increase our rates, what is the burden that we're putting on individual people who are transported to the hospital? Ultimately, that is a marginal piece of what wanted to readdress our shared care policy or something like that, if people were concerned about that, I think that would be reasonable. But as it is, I recommend that we move to the average rates as Brian has suggested.
Is anybody else got numbers or just me?
I don't think I see that.
They're in the March dropout.
Yeah, Brian, this is from a while back.
The March meeting dropout.
The EMS rate survey?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
I think that, do you have as an average rate for BLS 940?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same one, okay.
So when everybody has that,
I'm gonna pop it in right now, give me 2 seconds. So March 5th or 12th?
12.
so our current rates on the right-hand side, average rates are the second column over. We're significantly under in every billing category. As Ben mentioned, Medicare, Medicaid, and most private insurance has a cap to what they'll pay for some of these services. I do know that commercial insurance on, I believe it's ALS interface and BLS are higher than what we currently bill. And the mileage is significant because I believe that Medicare pays that mileage number.
It's not Medicare, there is another government insurance, I can't remember what it was. I had to ask Brian to be sure. Yeah, I thought it was Medicare, unfortunately, because that would be big.
So the recommendation that Ben has is to move from our current rates to the average rate for our region. So if you'd like to move that.
Sure. I move that we change our billing rates from those listed under the bill as cheaper to those listed under the average rates as presented by Brian Snyder on February 6th.
So we have a motion. We have a
I'll
second.
second that.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor? I'm sorry? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, new rates. Anything else, Ben, for EMS or youth?
Nope.
Dave, you're up.
Water. Okay, so we've been, our new mayor has taken significant effort in analyzing our water rates, and has developed an approach for us to offer a municipal rate on water. I'm trying to find, change mailboxes, I gotta go.
It's in the April
I
Dropbox
got
under Watkins Water Uni rates.
Okay, so what you're seeing in this is the average in the khaki color is the average cost of what water costs us per gallon over the last three-year average and a 2-year average. And what you're also seeing is what our rates are and what our inside and outside rates are. When we talk about municipalities, because it's a single meter read with multiple homes within that district, it is extremely difficult for them to follow our water rates and outside rates and plan in their planning, trying to figure out how to get everything paid. So what we determined is that we can offer a municipal rate particularly to Ulysses, simply because they have not been incorporated into our planning budgets at this time. So we can change the budgeting for municipalities to offer them a single rate rather than a base rate and a per 1,000 gallon rate. Now, to do that, we have to increase the actual rate that we are offering to the municipalities, but we can still do that and stay under what they would have paid if they went to our regular outside rate, which is what we've been telling Ulysses all along that they would have to do. So right now, I'm proposing that we set a municipality rate of $12 per 1,000 gallons for the municipalities. That will, anyone that was going to be incorporated in the outside rates the municipality will have to charge less this way. It will allow them to also be able to increase, it allows them to manage their own water billing and all of their infrastructure that they have to pay bill on. So we bill them, we'll bill Ulysses, the $12 per 1,000, and they can bill their clients whatever they need to accommodate their infrastructure costs. And now they have a fixed rate for a fixed amount of time to build all of that in.
So the idea is to do this for new water districts. The map, basically, if you look at the bottom section in gray, when we add the meter cost plus the additional per 1,000 gallon cost at rate and a half, you end up with your small users, the 5,000 and 10,000 gallon per quarter users, paying anywhere from $17 to $27 per 1,000 gallons, which is a lot. Our pumping costs are around $9 per 1,000 gallons. Your very high usage outside users, so cars, SureSave, they're actually getting down below our pumping cost because of the quantity break and the way it's currently structured. If they were at a flat per 1,000 gallon charge, their bills would actually be higher, but we're going to grandfather them in for the purpose of this. What's happening on Falls Road is that the people who want to tap in are realizing that if they're 5,000 and 10,000 gallon users, they're paying a very, very high per 1,000 gallon charge. That bill is quite high. So it's a way of potentially accommodating new water users outside only at a rate structure that still is above what it costs the village to pump. It's still above at the $12 number that Deb suggested. It's still above what most village users pay, although perhaps not all. And then long term, my hope, my plan is that any new revenue that comes from these outside water district users would come directly to the water department as revenue. And each year when we're budgeting or calculating our water budget, if adjustments can be made to inside users' rates, that we would do that. And if that means that rates are adjusting lower, these outside users' rates will not adjust, at least not for some period of time. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Regarding that, currently, and Debbie, you might be the one to answer this, currently the town, the water users pay the town in the districts. They pay the town for their use of water, and we pay use.
Yes, that's correct.
So does this bypass that? Does this, that people are going to, the users are going to pay directly to the village?
No,
Oh, okay.
you continue to be your own water biller, your own
Gotcha.
water reader, your own, we get, what, we do the meter reader.
Yeah, we bill, they don't bill. I mean, I don't know what they do, but, I mean, we bill each account separately. We don't bill
But it
just.
would be, if we're doing it by municipality, we are billing the municipality a single bill. The municipality is going out billing their
Our current
individual.
users are not in the water district. This is for all water district.
I understand.
Right?
Right, I was answering John's question.
I thought I did too.
I think you both did.
Yeah, and they, what they do with bills after they leave us, I don't know. Yeah, that's the truth.
But whichever, you're proposing a $12 charge per 1,000 gallons,
Flat fee,
flat fee.
meter for the water.
Extraneous of all the other infrastructure aspects.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's for new water districts only from this point forward. You got any thoughts on that, Dustin?
Not really, because other than the few several water districts that we have, like Trustees and them, I don't have much knowledge of, other than just reading that billing situation. It's not really.
Heard in Kingston, this, I'm looking at the gray box. So
This is the correct one.
So, this is actually, so we're adjusting our rates over the next several quarters. So starting in February of 2019, we're going to have village base rate of $62.50 for your first 1,000 gallons. That's your meter
Let's see
fee.
it right.
So it's $6.25 for each additional 1,000.
So the advantage of charging this new fee for the municipality is essentially it eliminates the base rate. It still seems.
And so we go down to the second section, outside base rate, as of February billing quarter, $93.75 for the first 1,000 gallons, $9.38 for each additional 1,000 gallons. What's underneath is what a bill based on those charges would be for someone with a 5,000 gallon, 10,000 gallon, 15,000 gallon per quarter water bill. So if you're my house and we're between 15 and 20,000 gallons a quarter, you can see what our bill looks like inside and what our bill looks like outside. At 15,000 gallons a quarter outside, actually, that person is actually paying $15 per 1,000 gallons, which is a rate and a half. Right? And what I'm suggesting is that if we want to increase the outside customers, inside is what it is. And they're getting, inside village customers are getting a good rate relative to our pumping costs already. How do we calculate a quantity break? And I'm suggesting we don't do quantity break, we do different billing structure that is a little bit more flexible. As long as that number is above our pumping cost, for sure, roughly $9 per 1,000. And preferably also slightly above the inside village users per 1,000 gallons. Equivalent. And this would be something that I don't think is going to make a huge difference in the short term. But it could be something that could come into play over the next several years. If we get more water users outside, they may be more willing to entertain us if they know. One of the issues with Falls Road is that they're concerned about A, the cost, and B, well, if it's always rate and a half, and the village makes a change, then it's going to change. It's going to change every year. So we don't really have a way to budget. There's 20 people in the water district and 13 on water. And if they all,
Do you know how many have any expectations as far as their
Falls Road is 20 homes.
What's your guess as far as?
I'll use 10,000 as an average, so 200,000 gallons a quarter of additional pumped water. That's 800,000 a year, so we're under $1 million.
This is calculated.
So our increase of pumping volume is not huge for something small like that. Someone from that group did call me and say that the biggest problem was, after the actual cost, the biggest problem was the uncertainty of, well, we signed up for this, and we don't know what it's going to look like next year, let alone next quarter. If we can say, well, it's $12 per 1,000 gallons for the next 3 years, that at least lets them budget that. And as I say, my hope would be that that number wouldn't need to change, certainly would need to change to the upside. If we can keep it flat forever and just use that drive revenue of the water department, then that.
Or it's a service rather than a fee.
That's exactly right. And then the next municipality wants to come on, they have their number. They can, all that's going to do for us is just decrease our inside rates.
The reality is the law is actually very, the law is actually very unfriendly, I guess, would be the only word I can think of, is unfriendly to the user. Because we can sign a contract for 3 years, but at the end of that 3 years, we can change the rates to whatever we want. Outside. Inside, there are certain other obligations. But I mean, Bolton Point can suddenly say, we can't supply you anymore when we're done with you. And then the users in Ulysses that's getting the water from the town of Ithaca from Bolton Point, they have to go figure it out. So if we try this and for some reason it's not working, we can change it.
In 3 years.
If for some reason we suddenly get a lot of people who want water and we need to make adjustments, then we can. As long as it's not arbitrary and capricious, how we set the rates.
Do you know, I think the labor is, I feel like maybe we talked about this at the last meeting, I was just not there, but
No, we didn't.
do we know how this impacts the town, like our relations and the people in that district? How do you?
This will be favorable to them. I had a check from Liz this afternoon. This will make a difference to the people on Falls Road who want them in this area.
I mean, if there's a family of 4 using 25,000 gallons a quarter, it's not going to make much of a difference.
Very good.
They're in for a penny, in for a pound.
Right.
If there's a single resident homeowner who's in the 5,000 to 10,000 gallon a quarter range, which is very possible for one person, this is a huge impact.
And we feel pretty solid on the budget and the pumping, that now that we're kind of closing out on these projects, we're pretty stable on those numbers for the next couple of years.
We are. I do believe that we are. Sewer will go up, but not water. I think water should be fairly stable.
The one interesting thing that I don't know that I ever got a good answer to was the decrease in the gallons pumped from 15 to 16. Except that I think it was 15 the drought summer.
Yes, and it was also both of our largest users irrigating.
Right, I mean, now the drought summer and golf course used a lot of water that year.
And then
And
they
that's,
stopped
yeah,
using it.
that's why we have base rates.
And that's what they asked us again for the 100th time in the last 20 years.
So drop our rates.
For a quantity break. In 16, I think that was a rainy summer, so they didn't need it. And now they're trying to do some in-house irrigations.
Well, coming out of 15, I think that's when they decided they had to do something because of the drought was so bad, they were losing money.
Yeah, it goes around.
Well, besides the fact they agreed to do it in 1992.
Yeah, besides.
You know, these things take time.
So the basic idea is we want revenue which requires customers, but we want to keep it low enough to attract customers.
Kind of the idea with
Right. That's generally right, again, that's business.
There's supply and demand.
Right.
And we have supply, and there is demand, but somewhere in the middle.
Right, and they are our neighbors.
Right.
Let's not forget that piece of it.
Well, and John mentioned something about 89. Now, getting pipe down Route 89 is not an inexpensive thing.
But
Neither is building a house on Route 89. So maybe there's a synergy there too.
Well, the whole point being that the infrastructure would be theirs.
True.
I do think he means the south end.
Towards Ithaca.
Absolutely. I mean, I talked with a couple of people several years ago who were trying to, they mistook me for someone else in the We want to do a water. Not the
There's-
town, it's not even clear. But in any case, I believe, that's where the population is the highest.
People in Frontenac, down all over Boys Country, they all want one too.
If we could get.
And then everybody on the lake wants water.
People just outside the village, like, could spit and both ends of the water districts and don't have water in the middle.
If we can
I own one of those houses.
if we could get water from the park going north on 89, that would be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's something the residents had to petition for.
I found that discussion with Guy Crow on what's happening in Seneca Falls, and those are very interesting, because I don't think they're as far along as you. I know that the conversations have been had. I know that it'll be years before they get to Ithaca
Sure.
with water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess in my simplistic summary, I was trying to make sense of like what are some of the barriers to getting there beyond just cost.
That's not many. $1 million a mile roughly for the infrastructure. That's a significant barrier.
Yeah.
But if they can afford $1 million a mile, we can sell it to them for $12 a thousand.
Well, there's upkeep on that infrastructure too eventually, so.
Yeah.
Well, right, so that it's not ours, that it's not, yeah.
So then, you want to move to adopt these rates for new outside users?
New outside municipalities.
Municipal users, correct?
I'd like to move that we adopt the rate of $12 per thousand for new municipal outside users.
Second.
Motion and a second, any additional discussion?
Are there non-municipal outside users?
Yes,
Sure.
we have
Oh, okay.
cars.
Cars. There are individual homes which are grandfathered, or would be grandfathered in, they're all under rate and a half.
And that's just to say that's just to say that they pay us directly instead of going through a middleman, so it's.
The issue with the water district is if it's actually a water district, then if someone is delinquent on a bill, the town can re-levy those water bills to their town property taxes. We don't have a way to do that because we don't have property tax bills for those folks. So it puts the village in a bad spot if we get, which we have had, some outside users who are
Delinquent.
years in arrears. There's no way to recoup that.
Not
Except
anymore.
we do a small claims court and shut off the water, but they're not gonna pay, they're not gonna pay.
Right.
What, a year, was it 2 years ago? We were at like 54,000 in arrears, now we're down to less than.
True, but I have to tell you, this is the largest levy list I've ever seen in my time here.
Yeah.
It's usually like 20,000, and it's more than double.
Yeah, I'm talking about outside.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying overall.
When I started, I was fighting for people to pay their bills, and then we finally got to the point where I said I should shut off letters, and we do have several outside people that have been shut down.
Interesting.
Even
That's a little shut up.
they're still shut off a couple of years later, I don't know what they're doing, and they're still living in the house.
You're bypassing us somehow.
Yeah, maybe they have their own well. I mean, they could have opened an old well.
Or it could have taken a meter.
They just started digging. So we have a motion motion and a second.
We do?
Any other discussion? If not, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Anything else for DPW, water, or sewer?
No?
Police, Mr. Hannon.
So on Friday, I spent a couple hours with the chief, ready to feel for the lay of the land in the police department. We'll talk more about police and executive session, but in terms of April, he shared with me his monthly report, which he was not here to present. We had 143 incidents, 6 assists to the town. We had a DWI accident at Halsey and Pennsylvania Ave, resulted in minor injuries. Rounded the curb at Halsey, went off the left side of the road, taking up mailboxes at Shrubbery, and then through the four-way stop sign into a tree. We also had another incident at the Not My Dad's, where a gentleman exposed himself to the 18-year-old at work in the window. And the chief applauded her for her calmness and providing a good description and license plate number of the individual. Apparently she also served him his ice cream. And he was later...
Cold one.
What's that? He was later apprehended in Watkins Glen. So that was good. And this was an individual with a was already in the sex offender database, so it was good to catch him. And I was actually thinking, I don't know, talking about to the chief about, I don't know if the village or the police department offers any kind of accommodations, but I think it sounds like this young woman performed well in a stressful situation. I don't know if she wants recognition for this, but
I
No?
don't think that's a
No?
good idea.
Okay.
I do not think that's a good idea. I'm sure she just wants to forget.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we could just get a t-shirt.
I mean, I just think, I mean, it sounds like her, her ability to deal with the incident was pretty instrumental in apprehending the individual, so maybe something awful.
Something non-public.
Yeah. I talked to him about speeding on South Street, and a potential stop sign next to the bridge on Lake Street. Those are things we might want to consider.
No,
No?
it's been there. It's been gone. It's been there. It's been gone.
So it's come and gone several times, so we have no interest in restating it.
I think the issue, and Chief mentioned it in an email, I think the issue is that when, so ironically, villages can't do bridges, and the county can do bridges, or the state. When they put that bridge in, what was that? Whenever that bridge went in, the site plans weren't really a high priority.
A priority that won't
Yeah.
Priority at all.
Really, when they redid it, they made it as bad as it was to begin with.
And I don't really remember it being as bad as it is now before the new bridge. So stop signs coming down are a problem in the winter. Stop signs coming down late are a problem in the winter because then you have to get started up Dorsey Hill, which is the reason why it's so much fun coming down in the winter. I don't know that there's a great answer to that intersection other than adjusting the sight lines. The property owner isn't interested in letting DPW shade back that bank anymore. I think it's a problem without an easy resolution.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But we should keep it on our radar in case we can magic a resolution to the problem at some point.
Sounds popular, so maybe I'll bring it back to you.
There you go. Regular updates.
Yeah, I have driven that road for 30 years. It hasn't gotten any better. Except that it has sidewalks, so some of the kids aren't getting hit. I've come around that corner and had kids skateboarding down that street. Not understanding that people were coming around the corner, I couldn't see up.
Our highway supervisor went through, slid through the stop sign and wanted his truck on a fire hydrant when there was a stop sign, because you can't stop.
Yeah. My husband's been hit twice, coming home, going up with somebody coming down and sliding all the way over to the left-hand side. So. And it wasn't because anybody was speeding.
Let's make it a one-minute traffic light.
Oh, Lord.
We'll just leave this one on Tammy's plate.
Yeah, we'll see you at the corner.
We're gonna just have them call Tammy.
I guess this last thing, one of the SUV police cars was out of service for 5 weeks after a deer accident. So, $5,600 in repairs for the SUV.
So was it Chief's suggestion that there should be a stop sign put there?
Yes,
Again?
that is his recommendation.
Really?
I'm just the messenger here. I'm just the messenger here.
He did.
He
He's
did.
the one who blew around last time.
He's apparently changed his mind.
Okay.
Is there a study for South Street traffic or speed?
So I talked to him about that because, you know, I thought I knew something was done there. And he basically said they monitored the speed and his general, to summarize, he didn't feel like it was an epidemic.
I actually have it, I'll send it to the board.
And he, you know, I think the sidewalks going down to Larchmont will certainly help people feel like the road is safer. Kids can walk on those. So I asked him about it, and it didn't bring about a large, long discussion.
Fairly comprehensive. There's 3,000 or 4,000 vehicles to track. So it's at least a statistically significant number. Not a lot of speeders. A couple of the speeders were impressively speeding, but not in terms of percentages.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Got more to do, I guess.
Item number 9 on the agenda is acknowledgement of correspondence. We had letters from Patty Bergevin and Kathleen Friedrich.
I still haven't seen the Friedrich letter.
Yeah. Sounds like we got it.
It's fine. Well, now, you know what, don't let me say that with confidence, because every time I said that tonight, I lied.
We have also a farmer's market grant award. Which one is that?
Our Dropbox isn't syncing, something.
Is that the one with this cover letter? Tourism grant?
Yep.
So the cover letter's in the Dropbox. Village has been awarded $1,225 as part of the 2018 Tourism Marketing and Advertising Grant Program for the 2018 Farmers Market Marketing and Advertising. And so, unless anyone has any objection or questions about it, I will entertain a motion to allow me to accept this money from Tompkins County.
So, second.
Any discussion? How did it come about?
Lane applied for it.
This is not the beautification grant, though. That's-
No, we wait till the end of the summer to do that. And it's actually more than she had, that we budgeted, I think we budgeted for 800 or 850. And it's significantly more than,
And so this was to be used
that's
to
right.
help distribute. We've got a lot
Oh.
of assets already, but getting them out to all the various places, out to heard reports that I was using it with the chamber.
You could put
Someone from
What's that?
Now we're using that with the chamber's like efforts, so Elaine needs to do fewer things. So used to know what she's doing.
So we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion on taking this money from Thomas?
To take off it, yeah.
All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention.
We be here for it.
No, but I get emails about grants all the time, I always look. And Jason has a grant writer on retainer.
Something, he did apply for president, number of grants.
I was gonna ask, I was in the firehouse stuff there, and they gave Danby $31,000 for turnout gear. Did we apply for that?
Yes, we
Yeah. And they've got the.
Not for turnout here, we got masks not too long ago.
No, we did.
And air packs too, last year.
All right, item 10 on the agenda is old business.
I will make sure that y'all get that, a copy of that letter tomorrow, sorry.
Comprehensive plan and zoning revision committee. I would like to name, and subject to board approval, if everyone's okay with it, these types of committees can either be named by me or by the whole board. We didn't really establish that, but from the village side of things, I would like to name Jessica Giles from the planning board as the chair of the committee. Yes, she does know what she's getting herself into. Ben Darfler from our board, either Tim Hamilton or Scott Sheetley, they both volunteered, and I know that they did split some time on the previous incarnation of this committee. So I'm still going to discuss with them which one of them wants to do most of that work. The zoning officer, whoever that will be, and then Tom Myers as the code enforcement officer. So there's no objection to that. I don't even think we need a motion specifically for it. But unless there's any objection, those would be the folks that I would want to see from the committee from the village side. The community member side, I actually do want to discuss in executive session. There are some personal things that I've had discussions with folks about that would not necessarily be appropriate to make public. And it does concern the appointment of individuals, so we're certainly justified in discussing it in executive session. And I'd like for us to take from that, and between now and June, settle on 5 people. So we'll have a committee of 10. The mayor is technically an ex officio member of all committees, so if there is an issue, then I can be the 11th. But my plan is to let that committee do their thing. As far as the comp plan zoning revision RFP, that should hopefully be in the Dropbox. The draft RFP I did send to everyone last week. If there's anything that we'd like to discuss, we can now, but by the June meeting, I would like to get this finalized. It has not been through Guy Crow's eyesight, so that'll be the next stage of vetting. But then if we can put this out if we can approve this in June and send it out, there is a list of a handful of firms that met to leave with me, but there's also the New York State Planning Federation website has a document upload message board that they use to solicit RFPs from firms around the state. So hopefully we can get a good number of planning firms that would want to assist the committee with this. My thought is that they would, that whatever firm we utilize for this would really fill that role of guiding the committee in terms of what types of information needs to be gathered, and that the committee's role would then be to kind of do the community interface piece, schedule the public sessions, schedule the workshops, and so on.
thought it was great. I was,
Yeah, I remember,
um,
it's fine.
yeah, it was maybe somewhat wordy, but the words were all, like, it was good. It felt sort of like the intro to the conference. It was, I thought it was great.
So then what I'll do then is, unless there's any additional changes that anyone wants to make, I'll send them off to Guy for his review. With June, our June meeting is kind of a target date to approve it. Next item under old business is Village Hall boiler replacement,
Thank you.
which has been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
For about
Few
5
times.
years.
Okay, so I reviewed these. And I listened to Housework, Hubbard, that's fine. Hubbard's bid was good for 10 days in December. Houseworth wasn't even given, was from February. So, I mean, I don't have my preference either way, but it was only good for 10 days, what is it now? And I hate to make you go do that again, but I really think we need an update.
I know Joe stands by his, he was just here last week, getting us up and, well, actually, our boiler was whistling like a tea kettle, through all of our baseboards, so.
Did you ever talk to anyone, like from Halco or one of the companies that does a full? Because I asked around about this, just, my brother-in-law used to work for Halco and they did a lot of, you know, basically whole house evaluation kind of things. And the advice that he gave me was that one, the size of the boiler is the most important issue, and two, whether you can segment ducts and that kind of thing, and how you can control it.
I think we do have.
But also that the primary
Yeah, it's fine.
limiting factor for something like this, as far as how efficient it is like windows in the house. It's, the building itself and what that envelope is like and that kind of thing. I know that, for instance, Halco, which is a company I know, but I'm sure there's others, will come do an assessment of the building, and it is free. And it's,
We went through one with Snook, or I'm sorry, what was
Yeah.
Snook? It was, remember we did the whole, this NYSERDA maybe? Not too long ago.
did they do an energy audit?
They did, yeah, the whole building, well, the whole building, was every 4 years, so it's been longer than 6 years, so, or 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think the energy efficiency question is important, and we know that this building is not.
Right.
But the boiler's broken.
Right, I just mean as far as the size goes, I mean, in those estimates, there's a variety of sizes.
Yeah, it's not too much off, it's 285, 290, and 295.
Yeah, the house worth the public court.
I don't know what the numbers mean, so.
They're BTUs.
Right, no, I know.
I can't imagine progress being a lot different.
It's max BTU. Yeah, one's 286, one's 290, that's just,
And the lowest bid
One
was,
spot, I know
that's
the
just the
outside
brand,
was-
that's just the brand.
Yeah, I looked at all the differences.
the only thing is the lowest bid, the 10,000, the HSC, that's under 200.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
significant.
we're not considered, I don't think we were even
Okay.
considering.
Well, I'd like to then go back to Houseworth and Hubbard, have Joe, have Houseworth just write something down saying the quote is still good. And then go to Houseworth and see if the quote is still good. If it is, then they can write something similar. If they need to adjust it, they need to adjust it. And then we can hopefully approve it in June.
Yeah, and I think it should be just those two, because the other one's way undersized for this building.
This is June.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, no, as long as it's good,
Yeah.
September.
Do I know that?
Yeah, is that a thing that? I mean, this is so outside of my wheelhouse. I don't even
It
know.
could be outside if the building was energy efficient.
Right.
But we're not going to be able to make the building energy efficient enough for the smaller unit before we get to this winter, when this unit won't survive it.
Yeah, neither will this unit, just saying.
I mean, yeah, no, they're already using space heaters.
Yeah, they're using whoever's working.
And policy, but.
My typing in gloves is not great, I can tell you, it sucks.
Most people would struggle with that.
Yeah, and we've done it, we've done it.
My only question for Houseworth I wasn't clear on was, did that include removing and that was another thing I thought, is we can, if the DPW's like, that's a good way to take care of it.
Yeah, they do, they scrap stuff all the time, and then the money comes back over, so.
So we wouldn't want them to, wouldn't want to pay them to look at it, so.
Yep, you got it, I'll figure it out.
All right. So we'll get that information and get to that in June. Last item under old business is Karen Powers gave us a very interesting discussion about cigarette butts a couple meetings ago. Or was that just last meeting?
So let's make it that way. Well, not really, because we had 3 in April, who was counting.
Like somebody else.
Always feels like a long. And she is actually priced out, after quite a bit of research, these Rubbermaid, sand-filled, roughly 2-foot tall ashtrays that she would like the village to purchase 5 of them for $75 a piece. So for $375. Somebody's budget line.
Yeah, my objection to those is that they still catch on fire.
Who's good?
And, well, I know we won't have a new labor in the country, but that's beside the point. I'm more concerned that when they get tall, particularly if they were like in front of wherever everybody's hanging out,
Right.
you know, that they catch.
They're gonna get full of rainwater in 30 seconds, they're gonna flow over the top, the cigarette butts are gonna be on the sidewalk, and then somebody's gonna clean that up. We've all seen it.
So then her argument would be, they're already on the sidewalk, and they're already getting cleaned up.
We're not covered in sand.
So if the DPW would be willing to empty them on occasion.
And it wouldn't be allocation, it would have to be scheduled work, just like
Weekly.
plowing.
I think it would be daily, or
Yeah,
daily.
It would be also Saturday, Sunday.
no, it wouldn't be, I'm not paying overtime to
Right.
pay ashtrays.
That's,
Yeah.
so, is there a way to
That's probably what they need to be.
require this of, like, alcohol serving establishments or something like that? Is that a, that's not an alternative that we would? Because to me, I can't help but think about Ted, who asked us to ban smoking on Main Street. And this, to me, feels like the opposite. It's like, this is where you smoke now. Is sort of my concern. Obviously, it's happening anyway, and they're not being disposed of. Right, you know, I understand the concern, but to me, it feels like all of Main Street is a smoking area now.
If these were to go in?
Yeah.
Encourages.
I mean, maybe that's well.
So I actually thought about 10 too. And so the way I see it is we have the spectrum. We have possibly the illegal practice of banning zoning, but let's say we could ban zoning, then we have to enforce it. Which is a lot of man hours to enforce. All the way over to do absolutely nothing and let cigarette butts accumulate wherever they have to accumulate. I think somewhere in between is what Karen is suggesting, that we give the person who's throwing a cigarette butt into the street no excuse as to where else to put it.
Exactly, because it's just like being in the park and there's no place to throw your trash. And you're riding a bike home, are you gonna actually carry your trash?
Supposed to?
No, I mean, it's the same thing. I have a cigarette butt, I want to do something with it, but there's nothing to do with it. So yes, do I believe there should be ashtrays? Yes, but do I believe that maybe those smoking establishments should provide them?
What I would actually like to see is if we approve this, is that we make a note of it and take it out of the beautification grant, if and when we receive it. Because it is community beautification related. $375.
Have you ever seen an ashtray in the rain? I don't think it's beautification.
cats can jump in there and relieve themselves. It's fantastic.
We'll see how that's just.
I mean, are there ashtray alternatives?
I mean, I thought all the ones I've seen now, like the tall skinny one,
Right.
just put up, drop it in.
Right. But the rainwater doesn't get everything.
Right.
Yes, but they do start on fire. That's the problem with
Then
that.
they look like a chimney.
And then, yeah, and then when they're burning, you go to the nearest establishment and say, hey, that's burning. And they say, I don't care, it's not mine. And then something catches on there. I see it downtown in everybody.
Yeah, well, I've seen it in all smoke come up.
I'd be fine to go with the little Venice method. This is definitely a rain. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a functional
Nah.
option.
Yeah, I agree.
But the little Venice option, I mean, it's subtle, it doesn't scream. This is
But
just- Yeah.
it just says it on it.
Yeah, it's got like a little smoke.
I mean, that's my thought. I suppose if everyone else was in favor of this, I wouldn't,
So shall I go back to Erin and ask her to revisit a different style?
I think so. I mean, I do think we should add them. Because then they have no excuse.
I'm thinking about like, places will try to inspire like local artists to like build things like, the new bike racks and things like that. Like, is this something that people could use their imagination to create some sort of covering?
they were dragon shaped and they caught on fire. It's really sort of win-win.
Grand forge something.
Yeah, I mean, limit the lacquer. I don't know, I mean, just trying to think, is there something that, maybe your team are they building, right? Maybe they do want to build something to help mitigate this problem that would take away the unsightliness of.
I think they're raising
I think they've done their build project for the year.
Yeah.
Haven't put a
No,
lot.
I think they're asking the person to build it, because if
Maybe
they build it all
take
together.
over for granted.
You should ask Diane to do it.
I don't know, the library just did build for house builders.
I'll go back to Karen and ask her for something that was warm metal energy and
Beautification.
That sounds like me.
catch on fire. All right, new business. I have a resolution regarding the, speaking of catching on fire, the Romulus incinerator. Great segue.
Thank you.
So this has been shared via email, the resolution. Is it in the Dropbox? It is.
Yeah.
Additional discussion regarding it?
So I have a lot of questions about this. And because it's late, I'm going to not ask any of those questions and just say that I'm willing to support this, but only because we're supporting their community and their decision. I have lots of reservations about it.
So here's what I would tell you, just to give a little side example. We drove down Pennsylvania, down 15 for the first time in a year and a half. The entire state of Pennsylvania stinks.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God, that fracking is
And the
just,
truck is one I didn't foresee.
oh, and if you think I want to live downwind of anything that has, that I was just amazed at how bad it was. It's never been like that. Oh, and actually, when you got to Harrisburg, it was better. Because, we go down 15. By the time you got to the city, there's no fracking around the city. It was better to be in the city than it was to be in the country.
Drove down through there. I'm just not even.
There
I live in
was,
farm country, so that's all I see.
what I noticed was the truck traffic. And it was
Yeah, but
definitely,
that's so bad here too.
yeah.
Just drive up, I mean, you drive all over.
I'm watching them come down. I can't figure out what's going on at U Street. I saw like 10 of them today. Different trips on our street.
It's just me and my
It's bad, this garbage truck was bigger than that. It's probably, yeah.
I just find myself thinking, how do they, start planning this and not think it was just gonna get, just ridiculous amount of pushback. I guess right now the law's on their side, so maybe that's why.
Yep, the attorney
This
is
is their-
suing, the town of Rockville.
Now, this is their
So-
police thing right now.
Lansing's coming.
And they're going as they're going.
Oh.
Get me started.
Yeah.
Eager to get started.
You sure?
Yes.
You don't want to get started?
No, that subject just irks me.
Which one?
Cargan.
Oh,
The sinkhole.
No, No, I'm, yeah.
All right. So any objectionable language? I'm actually curious about your concerns. Is it just the outside the village issue?
It's not so much concern, it's just confusion. I don't understand. I'm happy to not talk about it. I'll bring these up later. I'm on board enough that I can support it with cleaning up.
Okay, anyone else? Would anyone like to move this?
I'd like to move that we accept the resolution as written.
I'll second.
A motion in 2 seconds. Any additional discussion?
This isn't something that you like to do.
It is or isn't?
It's not something that you like to do, commenting on the other things outside of our municipality. It's been your stance today. So how are you feeling about this?
Because of the truck traffic? We've commented on that before. And I specifically took the language from the amicus brief from the Dryden fracking lawsuit, which we did sign on to. So
Okay.
those specific issues, particularly, since we really tried to do something about truck traffic to no avail. And I have a huge pothole in front of my house.
But it's an alarm clock.
I'm awake already, so.
Yeah, there is.
Which is
Yes, I don't have any conflicts because of those specific issues. Now, here's the thing, if Romulus was all in favor of it, and we didn't like their decision making, then I might feel differently. But that's not the case. This is clearly a case where a municipality doesn't want something, and someone is trying to pull an end around by going to their friends in Albany. Probably spending a lot of money and getting people reelected in Albany so that they can get what they want. That's an issue. Anything else? All right, then, so we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, then all in favor of adopting this resolution as written, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Did we already do these?
Yes, we did.
Yep, we did those.
So then the last item under new business is merely a suggestion, don't throw anything at me, is whether we want to consider the possibility of having a second monthly meeting. We've talked about it before, we've never agreed on anything, I'm really not sure which way I lean on this, but if 2 meetings a month at 2 hours apiece, is that better than 1 meeting at 4 hours?
It never works that way, you know it.
Okay.
Every time we have a second one, it ends up being just as long. I actually have always thought you needed 2 meetings for one time.
So do we want to try, and we're starting in June or July, having a second scheduled meeting, or do we want to continue to just schedule it as needed?
Can we start it in September?
What about like a quarterly second meeting? Once a quarter, does that just get confusing? It's all about alternatives tonight. Alternatives, nobody wants.
I like them all.
But I'm
I'm over here.
I handle criticism very well.
I'm happy with that.
I feel like,
Now that you had 4 meetings.
well, so the way I was thinking, yeah, like the way I was thinking of it is that every meeting has like a fixed cost to it, right? And so having 2 of it seems like a little bit much, but also it's 9:30 and we're nowhere near the end. So I could see some value. I think I'd probably lean a little bit towards 2.
I mean, if we stacked it, and did public issues in one, and sort of wonky or executive session type stuff that maybe doesn't have the same appeal or interest. I see, there's a lot happening.
Yeah, I was going to invite a lot more.
One of the things I would notice is that we've kept pretty much on schedule for this meeting. And that you were economic in getting us through the meeting, and we're still not done. That's.
We have also slowed down in the last half an hour.
That's because we're tired.
Yeah.
If we did,
We all work jobs.
if we did do 2 meetings, I would do all the minutes, all of the department heads, and all of the bills. All the department heads, representatives, trustees reports and bills in the first meeting. And then the second meeting would be correspondence, old business, new business. And we were just, that first month we do it, we'd be pushing off old business and new business for an extra couple of weeks and changing the cycle. But once we're in it, then we're still hitting everything once a month.
And every time we do that, we end up saying, well, this can't wait 2 weeks.
Right.
This can't wait.
And I'm okay with it. If it ain't really broke, don't fix it. But we'll see how we feel good night.
I think that there is going to be.
You will be so alone.
My
clerk is going home before that.
I think that there are other things like that are going to increase our schedule, whether it's firehouse or South Street or interviewing zoning people, or, we're going to have.
So that we can schedule those in our standard haphazard manner as needed.
I like the idea, especially just like talk about splitting it up to go, at least from trying it out from it.
Can we, when we went to 2 meetings, when we were doing 2 meetings, didn't we say it would be the 2nd and the 4th Monday of the week, and just schedule it and not do it if we didn't absolutely have to?
Right, but if they're gonna split up the agenda, then there's no way out.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the value.
We did say to try it if we scheduled it, if we didn't need it, we wouldn't have it.
Yeah. If we're going to, the other thing about purposefully doing 2 is that you're definitely going to have more trustee absences. I can't,
That's true.
I'm in New York, I'm on vacation, and I'm probably, I don't have to go to kids' baseball games or whatever.
Well, I'm Memorial Day started this one. 4th Monday is Labor Day, is Memorial Day, so
So,
when we think about it, just talk about it more in the June meeting. If it's something that we want to try, we can start it in July, August. We're going to miss meetings because of vacations anyway. Get used to it.
Yep.
especially at summer,
July. So we'll go back to that in June.
Revisit in June.
Very kind of.
All right, item 12 is our approval of abstracts.
Excuse me.
First up is our general fund in the amount of $229,626.75. Several $1,000 to pay with.
trust an agency has, or trust an agency what?
Did you ever get the buyback request from ISAC, or did you check on that?
I did check on that, and I didn't get anything back from them, and I left a message for Ted or whatever his name is, but I will call again
Next is our EMS billing abstract paying out. Billing receivables in the amount of $24,851.48.
We as a village pay EMS.
So when the billing revenue comes in, it comes into a holding account, and we have to pay ourselves, pay the general fund for those receivables, as well as the towns, and then medics takes their piece.
I move that we pay the abstract in the amount of $24,851.48.
Motion. And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Next is our water fund abstract in the amount of $34,409.76.
30.
Looks like bundle system upgrade.
The water fund? Where?
Which one are you talking about?
74,409?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Letter supplies.
Oh.
That's probably our new handheld.
Well,
Yeah, that's fine.
and it's the park lease.
Likely 42,000 is in this one.
So I move that we pay $74,409.76 from the water fund.
Second, what's the parks payment?
The lease payment. It's the lease payment amount minus the amount of water they use.
The
Since the
negative
beginning.
one.
That's what the negative is.
Oh, from the
But-
beginning, so
yes.
it's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that we should not be used to that.
Yeah. Well, it's only yearly, so that will happen only once a year. We only pay, they pay the water bill and we can, lease pay.
Anything else? A motion and a second on the water fund. If there aren't any other questions then, all in favor of paying this, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next is the sewer fund abstract in the amount of $19,934.58.
I move that we pay $19,934 from the sewer fund.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on paying the sewer fund abstract? If not, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next up is capital project, safe routes to schools, sidewalks.
Change the spelling. That's like
Capital.
capital.
Oh, sorry.
$815. This is to bond council.
I move that we pay $115 from the capital project to Safe Routes to School.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Water well project isn't closed out just yet. In the amount of $78,621.31. Looks like final payment
Yeah,
to the GC.
yeah, that's what I was like, I don't know, I think we're ready to pay them. We said that we were gonna pay them. What I don't understand is what their lawyers are coming back.
No, that's not wastewater treatment.
Oh, that's the other one, sorry. Okay, yes. I move that we pay $78,621.31 on the capital improvement water well. I keep forgetting.
Second.
Motion.
That was me.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. And one more waiver.
Wastewater treatment.
Wastewater treatment plant project, $61,784.75.
I move that we pay this abstract in the amount of $61,784.75 for the capital improvement wastewater treatment project.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation?
Just to let you know, I verified with Melissa from Emmer today, that is not how the construction's last payment. Their last payment will be in June.
Well, I'm more than willing to pay what we owe them, but they have to.
This brings us current to what's been itemized.
Right, okay, so, yeah, so I say, I will say pay it.
Okay. It's just, I just wanted to let you know, it's not their final one.
Right, thank you.
Any other
I,
discussion?
yeah, that's all.
All right, hearing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, and finally, trust and agency abstract in the amount of $25,442.98. Mostly consortium.
Sure, I move that we pay this abstract in the amount of $25,442.98 from the trustee agency.
One second.
Any discussion? All in favor of paying this abstract, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, bills are paid. Item number 13 is our second public comment period. Seeing no members of the public on this lovely May evening, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss EMS personnel, police personnel, and contracts subject to review.
I will.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.